Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Youth View. My name's Brad Jones. This week we're talking about beauty standards and how that's affecting the well-being of young people. We hope you enjoy the episode and stay tuned.
I'm Blake.
I'm Courtney.
I'm Luke.
I'm Chloe.
And I'm Drew.
Hi, my name's Shelby.
I'm Jamie. And I'm Crystal.
I'm Brock.
I'm Rachel.
And we're Northlakes High School.
And today we're going to play a game of Jar of Truth.
Favorite Norris nut. Oh my god.
Not this
Favorite Norris nut.
I think it's Biggie.
Nah, it's so Socky. Socky's so cool.
But why?
How old is she?
17, 18.
Oh, okay.
She was pretty cool because she was always at the life of the Norris nuts, you know? She'd be like... I don't know, she was pretty smart too.
I don't want it.
If you could be any age for the rest of your life, what would it be? I still would say 21. Like, you're legal for everything everywhere. And... No, I say like at 25 because 5 is my favorite number.
What is the strangest thing you've eaten? I've
Or
eaten...
onion.
I've eaten crocodile meat pie.
Who or
Wait.
what inspired you to be creative? I would have to say probably my dad.
Who is the best artist of our generation? I gotta say the yodeling kid in Walmart. I love him. I used to like dance to that musically. Are you smart or strong? Neither.
What band are you currently obsessing over? I'd have to say Green Day.
What one thing would you change about society? Men.
That was round 1 of Jar of Truth. Here's round 2.
Who will win the 2025 NRL Premiership? Dragons,
Premiership.
obviously. Okay, I got this. Whew.
Wow.
Would you rather
It's so
time
hard,
travel or
isn't it?
fly? I would rather fly.
Most overrated celebrity?
Saki.
Socky.
Jack Black.
What?
He's
What?
overrated.
Guys, I actually
Get
wanna
out. We
sing.
want Luke back.
Yeah, we want Luke back. Get out of here with your guy out.
What's your favourite holiday and why? I'll say Easter.
Wasn't it St.
All for
Patrick's?
chocolate.
Wasn't it St. Patrick's
You get
Day?
a ton of chocolate.
Oh, I get-
If you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be? Hear Me Out, Dear Maria, Count Me In.
No.
I like that song.
See, I only know the Dear Maria Count Me In part.
Love or money? Money. Because if you have lots of money, then people love you anyway. So,
Damn.
Fair.
exactly. So.
But like for the wrong reasons.
Oh yeah, but I want money because like I wanna buy things. I like buying things.
Are you smart or strong?
Neither.
Yeah, you're neither, bro.
I would say maybe a little strong. Blake, look at
Can you flex for us?
there.
Can you flex for us?
Flex for us.
Can you flex for us, Drew?
Oh wait, Chloe, what's that behind you?
Soon to be Courtney.
Crazy.
What?
In this episode of Youth View, Crystal and Brock will be interviewing Silas, Pollard and Emily Smith. Silas is a senior social worker for Central Coast Local Health and District, and Emily is a psychologist with New South Wales Youth Health. They are both passionate about helping young people with their health, and we're so happy they've joined us today on the couch.
So what's one thing you can't live without in your daily life?
My family.
Your family. So you got to be involved with them every single day?
I would love to be more, so I walked my son to school today and held his hand. He's telling me about how he hasn't touched any cracks or leaves on the way to school, and he was so proud. And I'm like, it's that simple thing. It was really fun.
Yeah.
How about you? What's one thing you can't live without on a daily basis?
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I think spending time with my family and my pet. I'm a dog lover, so always going for a walk with my dog, weather permitting, obviously, but spending time with them is definitely something.
That's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Where did you guys start it at?
I studied at Griffith University. I did it online because I have a job and a family, and I was trying to catch up on the coursework at night.
Yeah.
And I did a Master of Social Work most recently. Yeah.
What about for you?
So I studied at Macquarie for my undergrad, and I had to do a few other degrees after that to become a psychologist. So it's taken some time, but yeah.
I got told Macquarie is a good university. How did you think about it?
Yeah, I think it was good. I think you get some really good student support there, which is always really helpful, especially when things can get a bit hectic with uni. But yeah, it's really nice. It's also a really nice campus as well, so that's a good one.
What do you think of unrealistic beauty standards for youth people are?
I think, well, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I think there's so many different factors that impact, I guess, beauty standards. I think at the moment, particularly with social media, that has a really big impact on how youth perceive our own standards of what we should look like. And when we think about kind of Instagram and some of those apps, filtering, taking photos, taking videos, sometimes what we're watching from, say, influencers, for example, aren't necessarily representative of what they look like, where there are filters. And I think that really is difficult for the consumers, so for young people to see what is real and what isn't real, and then distorting that as well.
Yeah, because so much has changed when they edit the videos. It's not actually what they look like, and that makes a lot of fake beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then it's hard to know, right? Like what is real and what isn't, especially with like AI, so like things
AI
as well.
And how they position themselves in videos.
Yeah.
It just changes a lot of perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your view?
I think it's hard to compare ourselves to things that aren't real, and then but the negative impacts are real. So we often compare ourselves, especially as when we're younger, we want to fit in. How do you fit in with something that's not even real? So we put these unrealistic things, and it hurts a few areas of our lives trying to achieve that.
Yeah, trying to achieve the non-realistic way to live.
Yeah. How do you guys find it? You're at school now. What's it like to compare yourself to all this fake stuff?
Well, there's a lot of videos online that I watch because I just scroll through TikTok or YouTube, and a lot of people do this and they'll give you that, and if you try, I don't try it because I know most of it's fake, but they just spread a lot of fake information. Mum's like, oh, look at this, if you do this you could look like that, and it's like, oh, maybe not, because I don't know if it's real and I don't want to be disappointed by it. So I try to stay away from most of that stuff, but a lot of people get trapped into it, like a couple of my cousins. Totally. They think, oh, let's just get this and I'll fit in here, but they don't end up fitting in and they don't understand what's going on. So it does affect a lot of people.
I heard a quote during the week: haters gonna hate if you are fake, they're not gonna accept you.
Yeah.
And if you're you, they're not going to accept you.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to pick one, right? And just go with it.
It's like a lot of people, you have to change your personality based on who you're with because that's how they've grown up. Like, they can't see any other personalities differently because that's how it's just fixed into their mind. That's how they have to act.
Yeah. And are they happy?
Sometimes. It's hard to tell what people are like because of the standards people put on how you're supposed to act around others.
Right.
How do you think home life affects youth's self-worth?
I think it's everything. I think all my years in mental health and working for health and with young people, I think I've seen the value of family as so important. So many things young people ask, whether it's a problem or whether it's lacking, but just any form of a healthy family really would have helped that issue. Even applying for a job. A young person's like, how do I do this? I'm like, oh, well, sometimes if, someone in the family has been kind enough to teach you this skill or driving lessons. So if you take away a family structure, or if you have a really mean, negative, nasty family, it's really impactful on a young person's life, and it's really hard. How do you overcome a parent saying anxiety is not real, and you're so anxious going, oh, I'm pretty anxious, this is pretty real,
and then they say it's not real, and they're like, so what am I feeling? What would you compare based to supportive family to non-supportive family? How do they act differently?
I think it's a really privileged start in life to have a loving family. You're gonna find life a little bit easier when you can. Sorry for smashing everything as I move my hands. It's a lot easier to have a nice, safe, secure base that you can come back to. That attachment theory, so you can come back to your loved ones and be like, I did this thing, and they can be supportive and say, good job, and you go out there into the world and try again. But when you're left just trying to survive for everything, you don't have the same privilege of being able to be safe and happy and healthy to get onto that next journey.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think Silas has put it very, very well. And I think as well, just from a different perspective, as you mentioned before with your mum saying, oh, look, you know, if we try this, this might happen, that particularly with, I guess, these standards of body image don't discriminate, right? Everyone experiences that across your lifespan. And young people are just especially vulnerable, particularly during that time of development when our bodies are changing, everything's happening, we're trying to build peer relationships. So sometimes I think our home environment, sometimes that maybe anxiousness and vulnerability that our parents might experience might kind of fall onto us a little bit as well. And that's kind of just a different perspective on that too. Yeah, and I think that can always be really tricky if maybe that pressure's coming from, say, your family members as well.
Yeah, especially when kids are like sponges soaking up everything around them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're told you're not enough or you're too this or too that, has a huge impact on your self-worth, self-confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you see negative results like when bullying plays out in youth health?
Yeah, of course. And it's so interesting to see domestic violence, the impacts of not just the physical one that everyone can picture when you picture TV, but that coercive control, that negative talk, that just reducing someone's self-worth and self-esteem so little and little and little that they're like, I don't even want to live anymore.
Yeah.
So do we see it? Absolutely. Is it hidden? Is it taboo? Is it not talked about? Sometimes. But I think, again, the importance of family can come in here when you can come back and say, I've had a hard day. This is what happened. And you can have somebody's logical brain say, oh, why don't you try this or try that or talk to this person? But if it's constant, yeah, it can have the most serious impacts in someone's life.
Yeah.
If you're working with a certain group of kids, how do you know if someone's going through a hard time and they're trying to hide it?
Oh, Emily, do you want to take that up?
That's a really good question. And I think it takes the support system around the young person as well, particularly say if you're in a school environment, so the teachers, your peers, noticing, oh, maybe they have a lower mood than normal, maybe they're not engaging in the way that they would, they might be kind of struggling a little bit more with their attention in class or just with generally getting homework or schoolwork done. Maybe they've started to isolate themselves a little bit as well. It's mainly kind of recognizing these little flags or these red flags of, okay, maybe something's not right. And maybe we need to do some checking in here. What are some supports we can put around this
Where
young
would
person?
you go from that after realising someone's not in the right headspace?
Yeah, and I think it's really kind of, if you're in a school environment, kind of looking at what resources you have available. So like wellbeing staff or kind of school counselling staff, if you're kind of really concerned, even just doing a general check-in with that friend and saying, hey, like, how are things going? Are you okay? And having that conversation with them, knowing that you're there for that person as well. And if you're the young person where you're feeling not quite right, or you are noticing maybe a difference in yourself, or you have notice maybe some anxiousness. I guess there's so many available resources online as well, some really great ones. So Kids Helpline is always a really good one. And kind of, yeah, if you want to navigate it through that way. And there's always kind of other services like Headspace, for example. Youth Health is obviously a good one too. And they're kind of those bigger services too to reach out to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you guys work with kids and youth that are going through stuff or even trying to get into their adulthood, and you've probably heard a lot of sad or emotional stories. How do you guys cope with that? Like, how do you deal with the negativity?
I cry. I literally have cried one time. I had the saddest story and I just burst into tears. And they're like, dude, that was just my Tuesday. I still need to talk about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm like, of course. So we're human, and we have our own triggers. So if you talk about a dog being harmed, you know, we all have our own things that really sting. You know, when you watch a movie and you're like, oh my goodness. So the way I cope with that is I acknowledge that it's a real feeling. You're allowed to feel things. And the world promotes self-care so much. And part of it's true. Just doing nice things for yourself. Okay, I've had a hard day or a bad day, or I've heard some traumatic information that any human shouldn't have to go through. So knowing what works well for you, having a good team. But for me, it's seeing my kids, give them a cuddle, have good food, play some video games, listen to music, go to bed, and then see how I go the next day. So just knowing your own self-care that helps you deal. But yeah, obviously when we hear terrible things, we're human. We're going to have human responses.
How do you cope?
Yeah, kind of similarly. I think definitely in the professional space, being able to lean on team members and say supervisors and have those debriefing conversations where you can kind of have a chat about some of those things, and having that check-in can be really helpful. And that's something that I really enjoy, being able to kind of lean on the people around me. And then similarly, thinking about that personal self-care around, okay, what's going to kind of fill me back up, what's going to bring some energy to me this afternoon or tonight, whether that's spending time similarly with my family, with my dog, going for a walk, getting some exercise, and getting a good sleep too. Yeah.
How about you guys? What do you do when you have bad news?
Probably like listen to music, play games, get something off my mind.
And everybody listening, music is the number one thing for our brain.
I agree.
It's like, I have an angry song when I don't like the song, but when I'm really angry, I listen to that and I feel calm. So music's a great one. What about you?
Oh, I also do music, but I don't have a particular song. I just put on like 25 hits or whatever. I don't care what song's playing. It just helps to zone out. I'm not really good with telling people how I feel or when I'm feeling stressed or anxious. And that's probably bad, considering no one else knows. Or then you can just like you can just have enough and just yell at them and they don't know what's going on.
It's also your first clue though.
Yeah.
When you find yourself withdrawing or being like, oh, everyone's just annoying me, that's your first clue. So it's like sometimes our body will react to stuff before our brain even realizes what's going on. Anyway, so
yeah, so that I just do that. I don't notice, I close off, and then everything irritates me, and I don't tell anyone. And then when it gets enough, I just go away for a few days to myself. I'm really bad at talking to people about it. So that's probably my just isolating myself for a few days, resetting. That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah.
Cool.
And this is a personal question, but what inspired you to pursue this path as a job?
I was a tradie working on a mine site in Western Australia, earning $2,500 a week after tax, and I was miserable. I was young and making bank. They gave you a car, they gave you a house. I was just making money. I was like, okay, I've made it, and it sucks. So I thought, what do I actually want to do? And I thought about what I've been doing my whole life anyway, and that's caring for my friends, caring for the people around me, working and talking. And it was in West Australia when I felt the loneliest I've ever felt in my life. Loneliness sucks. Shout out to all the lonely people. I thought, what do I actually want to do? And it was to work with young people and their mental health. That's how I started. How about you?
Mine's not as inspiring as that story. I kind of fell into my course a little bit. It was just the first course I got into. So I was like, all right, give it a crack. And the more I lent into it, the more I was drawn into it and really engaged with it. And I was like, this is for me.
So that just proves how two different people's paths can go together from two completely different angles.
Yeah.
Like one, finding jobs, hopping through jobs, and to find the right one. Like, as you said, it might be good financially, but it's not good for you in your point of view. So just finding that right job can also help with your self-esteem.
Yeah, totally. Love that.
And if you could say one thing to like everyone out there, what would it be?
Mine would probably be lean on the people that you love and who love you as well.
Mine would be that you are enough, and this life's for living. It's not a constant fun experience. There's going to be bad times, hard times. Like people die, people get sick, all that stuff. So yeah, having good people around you, I love that. And just accepting where we are, what we're doing. Like, we can't always change stuff, so just accepting the truth, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for answering questions with us today.
No worries.
It's been fun and eye-opening a lot. But yeah, thank you for coming on the show with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Youth View. Now we're going to have a chat about beauty and body standards. Jude, do you want to start off with you in the gym?
I feel like social media puts a big influence on it with all these big bodybuilders showing that you need to look big, and so it puts everyone else down thinking they look bad and they need to go to the gym and work out.
And like the use of anabolic steroids.
Some content creators out there would show that, maybe lying a little bit and say it's good for you. Maybe they do show for bad stuff in it, but if they show for progress that you've got, it would overwhelm them and they would think you need to get bigger.
And then it influences the younger generation to actually take those steroids.
I'd say maybe teenagers and that, watching these bodybuilders. How does beauty standards affect girls in our generation?
I feel like it would be like the same kind of thing for women, but flipped on its head. Because you know how obviously men need to, well, the stigma is that men need to look big.
And the girls need to look small.
And the girls that sometimes like they look small have used different approaches, like how men use steroids, girls use the fact of plastic surgery to make themselves look something that they're not in order to classify as beautiful. And it
like
affects
a smaller nose, like big.
I feel like there's a lot of different aspects of men in like if different things, because you have your video games which like portray men as like godly and thing, other than obviously aside kind of people, but I know Luke's got a lot of ideas on that one.
Yeah, I know a lot about the video game characters. Like Kratos is the main one. He's all built to be like muscular and that.
Yeah, Kratos is, dude, he's jacked. But then you have Thor that he's like, which I guess they would do quite well. In Marvel,
in the movie
Chris
Marvels.
Hemsworth, he's just ripped.
And they always have to work out to look good.
Yeah. In the movie The Hangover, you know, Alan, he's really like big. He does podcasts and stuff, but with actors where they actually do call him fat and do call him names. But in The Hangover, it was good because he was portrayed well, but he was still portrayed as the funny comic kind of character, but he was also portrayed as an absolute like utter baby. They are always like portrayed as something that they're really not, and that's where you'd see a lot of them going to the gym and trying to better themselves, which I think it's great. But then they start going down the path of the steroids and the things that are really unhealthy for you, just trying to look good. These guys that I've like met with are faster swimmers than swimmers that like my build, and I've watched them and I'm like, how? But they were so good, like they were faster than me, and I don't feel like you should drag them down because they're overweight.
I feel like you should be happy who you are.
Exactly. And you should be comfortable in your skin.
Yeah. On TikTok, you see all these girls admiring all these women, like celebrities, because they're skinny, they're like good looking and all that, and they get ashamed of how they look.
And I feel like, you know, Bella and Gigi Hadid, and how they're like the prettiest women or something like that, and they're always like, they're like stick figures. Genuinely. They look like, you know,
yeah, exactly what I'm saying, dude. Who?
Bella Hadid and Gigi, they won like most attractive woman. They're sisters.
Oh, like I know what awards you mean.
Yeah.
Most attractive women award is kind of weird.
I feel like a lot of girls should be more comfortable in their own skin, just like how men were. And well, we're not all comfortable, but it should be more of like a stigma that you don't need to be having to look good to actually feel good and be attractive kind of thing. What about video games, Luke? And men and women in video games, I feel like the women are always sleek.
Sexualized.
Yeah,
they
women
wear
are
the
very
worst
sexualized.
Armor. Like the guys would be covered in like with protective shit, and the women have like little
The
metal
belly showing.
little metal bras, their little tummy out.
Last of Us. You know how like the game character Ellie is everyone loves her, but then the actor in real life, people are dissing her.
Yeah, because she doesn't look like Ellie.
Yeah, because she's not good looking.
And with the new cast of Ruby, the big muscular girl. No, Abby. So in the game of The Last of Us, Abby is muscular. She's jacked, like she's jacked, bigger than me. But with the casting call, this girl that she's being cast as is relatively skinny. She looks like Abby, but the girl is actually skinny, and people don't like the fact that she's skinny, which I think is... It's kind of weird now because you're talking about these girls that are overweight and you're bullying them, but now you're bullying a girl that's skinny, and you can't really win either way. And it shouldn't be that kind of stigma. It should just be, we're happy that this girl, she looks just like Abby, and things like that.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to our second group, and they're going to talk a bit more about their experiences with beauty and body standards.
Hi, my name is Brock.
And I'm Crystal.
And I'm Shelby. So what do you guys think of...
How you were raised? How did that like affect your look on fashion and how you act now?
I feel like fashion is like a really big point for some people, but not for much.
How does that affect how they were raised, though? How does that come into it?
Because obviously if people are raised poor but they want good fashion, that's probably going to drive them to get money, whether good ways or bad ways.
So lower income families, that if you were raised in there, so not so much poor.
So if you were raised in a low income family, you would be more entitled to getting cheaper looking clothes.
That look the same brand.
Yeah.
Or try and mismatch the off-brand clothing. Your first thing would be like, can I afford these clothes?
And are they comfortable?
And would they be more comfortable? Because I'm pretty sure you'd focus on clothes you're going to have for a long time if you just got some money to spend.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then if you are raised in a high income or very wealthy family, then you just look, hey, that looks nice, I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
Like there's those people that come out from the shops with all the bags on their arms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so bills go first.
Yeah.
And then clothes, like necessities would go first. Then stuff you can just buy goes second.
For like Christmas time and Easter and all that wrap up.
Crazy.
We usually get just clothing, socks, all that stuff, just because like it's cheaper. And
Easter, we get pajamas. We get pajamas and chocolate for Easter.
Why?
I don't know. I've always got pajamas on Easter. Have you? Wait, that's not normal?
What?
You don't get pajamas on Easter?
No.
Well, one of my not favourite stereotypes would probably be the way people have to act. So having to hide emotions if you're a guy, that stereotype that guys don't cry, or guys, that people just don't have to hide their
emotions.
Yeah, people hide their emotions, and that's probably one of my least favourite stereotypes. So what's your least favourite stereotype?
My least favourite stereotype would probably be like people having the image of like what a man or a woman should be. So like a woman, they've got to wear a skirt or a dress or whatever. I think men and women should be able to wear whatever the hell they want, because like a woman might not feel comfortable wearing a dress all the time, or a skirt, or whatever they are supposed to wear, tights or whatever. Or a man where like he might not like the look of his clothing, but the only clothing that looks good is the female one, or it's like too uncomfortable for him to wear male's clothing. It's like too stretchy or big or something, or like,
and like also like the materials too.
The materials are way different between male and female.
Because I love male, like the male jumpers or tops.
Yeah.
Because they're all together, the fabric is so much like
softer,
breathable and softer. And then you go to girl fabric and it's like just tight or really stretchy where it's not supposed to fit, and it just doesn't fit right most of the times, because they put the clothing sizes for females often on what a girl's stereotypical body should be like. So a lot of fashion or clothing or brands only make clothes fitted for
what
toned
or
small girls. And then when it goes to pricing, again, financial aspects, they overpriced clothing meant for bigger females because it's more fabric. You see all the girls that can't fit into clothes a lot of other women can, and then they go to get sizes made for them, and it's like $40 or $50 cheaper.
More expensive.
Yeah, more expensive. Just pricing with clothes, and so you go into the men's sizes, partly because like most men's sizes are bigger than female sizes, and they're so much more comfortable.
Welcome back to the second round of Jar of Truth.
Rachel, what color do you associate with yourself?
Blue?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I see like a purple or violet color.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Just very soft colours.
Yeah, just like pastel.
Yeah.
Jamie, who's your favourite person in your friend group?
You?
Yay!
Crystal, would you rather comedy or horror movies?
Probably horror movies. Just
Yeah.
because comedy is never actually funny unless it's stupid.
Yeah.
Rachel, what's your favourite holiday and why?
Holiday? Like
Yeah.
one I've been on? Or
Like holiday, like Easter, Christmas.
oh, Christmas, because I get a lot of presents.
Ah.
And that was Jar of Truth. Now we're moving on to our main segment of beauty standards. Hi, I'm Jamie.
I'm Rachel.
And here's our segment on beauty standards and basically what we think of them. So, Rachel, what do you think of beauty standards?
I think there's a lot of different beauty standards for both men and women. There's a very large amount of them, and they all have mostly negative impacts on people, both men and women.
Yeah. I think age plays into it a lot as well, because like ages get different beauty standards as well. Like old people, it's insane. Like the whole cream things and all the anti-aging stuff. It's like they've got a lot of pressure. I think teenagers, like around our age, also have a lot of pressure when it comes to beauty standards because, as everyone knows, teenagers can be very judgy.
Yeah, and because there's so much of it online, they look towards everything online, and then when it's not like that in the real world, they think, well, hang on, that's not good.
Bullying still goes on, judgment still goes on. Like a uniform doesn't stop anything, especially when people are targeted for their looks.
Yeah, and for their physical appearance and things that they can't control.
Yeah.
Like acne, which is part of growing up and becoming a teenager. It happens to most, but not all. So the ones who don't experience it as much tend to make fun of those who unfortunately do.
What are your thoughts when it comes to your own experiences with beauty standards and clothing and all that?
I think it's something I've always been very insecure about, and I've always, I guess, wish I could wear different clothes, but I feel like I couldn't pull them off because of the way I look, and it's something I've always kind of thought. And I feel like I haven't explored myself in the clothing aspect much because of that and the fear of what others would think.
Yeah. I'm kind of similar. I don't really broaden my clothing style just because, one, I don't really care, and I'm not a very revealing person, I guess. Like, up until like this year and last year, I would wear pants and a jumper all the time. I didn't like wearing shorts or shirts anywhere. I wanted to be covered up. And that's just my personal experience. I don't judge anybody else that wants to walk around in like whatever they want. I don't care. But personally, like, it's the same. I'm just very insecure. I don't like showing myself.
Yeah.
What about like beauty wise? What do you like?
That's something I've also always been insecure about because I'm someone who's always had a lot of acne growing up, especially my early teenage years. And it was something I always hated and wanted to get rid of, but I never could, and it never worked. And it made me even more insecure about my own appearance, and I just hated it, but I couldn't do anything about it. And I was worried what others would think when they looked at me, because my face was always red and pimples, and it was gross.
It's not gross, I love you. Thanks. I feel like I've always been insecure about just my face in general, and specifically my nose. I mean, I know I can't help it because my nose is like a mix of like Italian and Greek and that, but I've always just thought it looks really disgusting, I guess. Like, I've just always hated it. But there's a part of you inside that just has to realise there's nothing you can do about it because it's just the way you are, and it's not, I'm not going to say it's your fault, but like, you were created by your parents, and like, their genes determined how you look. But yeah, so don't be insecure, guys. Embrace the way you look.
Yeah, because unless you're planning on getting surgeries, there's nothing you can do about it.
And I don't really recommend that. It
Yeah.
can go wrong.
And a lot of the time I feel like people don't feel themselves anymore once they get surgery.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be the opposite, but a lot of the time it's not, and it can have negative effects in the future when they get older.
It can go down like a deep rabbit hole because you'll see someone get, say, plastic surgery on their nose, for example, but then they'll keep doing it. Like, they'll do it to their face, the chest, like the rest of their body. Like, they'll just keep going and going. Like, I've seen people go down that rabbit hole before.
Yeah, it's kind of never-ending thing a lot of the time. They keep getting more and more surgeries because there's something else they become insecure about.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's usually a waste of money.
Societal beauty standards keep changing, so they think they have to keep changing themselves.
When they don't, it's hard to find the confidence, but it is a good thing to have confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
And the way you look and appear to others.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you will find yourself in a shell and not get out there as much as you wish you could.
Yeah.
Because of those things.
Yeah, you need to find confidence in yourself and not what others think of you. You need to have that self-confidence and not confidence in the doctor that's going to change your face shape or your nose, etc.
Do you think that's enough?
Probably. Should we do an outro?
What are we going to say?
Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to our segment of the podcast, and we hope you take something away from it and learn to never change yourself, and you're beautiful the way that you are.
Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Youth View. It was so awesome to have Northlakes High School as our host this week. We hope you enjoyed their chat on beauty standards. And yeah, don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram @Skill Creative, and we'll see you in the next episode.